pussy. Kelly's a pussy. Kelly's a pussy.
Activate.
All right.
Oops.
And we are back. Hey, everybody. Welcome to This Pink Cloud. Chat's already going crazy on the thing. Yeah. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. This is a show that is all about multiple pathways to recovery. And all
are
that
you
good
just a
stuff.
DJ? What else do you have?
I'm a RISP.
You're a RISPist.
I'm a RISPist.
RISPist.
RSPS, which is Recovery Support Peer Specialist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, but be sure and smash that like button, brother.
Smash that like button if you want to see me throw a brick at a homeless guy.
I love that. Anyway, without introduction, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chad Lamons. He can't. There's a lot of caffeine going on already.
No, I haven't even. Hold on.
This is you.
Let's reintroduce. Let's
pre-caffeine.
reintroduce me. Hold on. Go do it again.
Chad Lemons, everybody.
Great to be here.
There you go. Okay, cool. I'll edit that out.
There he is.
No, you won't.
No, you won't.
So anyway, I am excited to have this young lady in, and she is actually going to be our guest. We are
Yes.
we're re-guesting today.
Let me be
well, because
your guest.
we wanted to drive deeper on your story.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, Surya Nycole.
I'm glad you hit the right button.
Yeah. Watch this. Ready?
Oh,
Very zen, very zen.
perfect.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh,
So
fuck.
good.
He's so good.
It's so good.
Thanks, Chad.
But so we are excited to have you in. Normally I would pronounce your name Surya
Yes.
Nycole.
Yes.
The only
But I
woman.
got it right
The only
today.
woman from Chicago that has NYC in her last name.
There it
There
is.
we go.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
But you are a hope influencer, correct? Is
Yes.
what we consider you.
Yeah, that's what you've named me, and I've accepted it over the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then you also, tell the people what you do or what is out there on
Well-
your platform.
Well, I write.
Mm-hmm.
And I say some like pretty harsh shit that I've learned, and then other things that I see in other people. And so I typically put like a deep thought or quote out there and then just elaborate on it further. And more or less what I'm trying to do is untangle my own brain and the things that I've seen in doing that from the trauma that I've experienced in my life, and just kind of give other people some different perspectives and give them hope.
and you have to do that 10 times a day.
'Cause
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes
No.
I have to take like a week off because mentally it's just not there, and
Yeah.
I can't. For me, I am just in
You
the
have
moment.
you have to be authentic with it.
I am very
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Very.
And then,
authentic with
but
it.
so how is the writing career going?
Oh,
Are you actually taking steps forward to
Yes.
making that happen?
I am because
Because
last
I am
year,
I am here to hold you accountable.
Okay.
For that, because you said you wanted to write a book, and we've had
yes.
a myriad of authors on the show.
I know.
Well,
And
I
And
actually
Yeah.
have something interesting about a book that's coming out too.
your mom, right?
Yeah, my mama.
Oh.
Shout out to my mama, my
I
lovely
can't
mother.
wait to
Sheila,
Well,
read
we're gonna
that.
we're
Sheila
gonna
Williamson. She wrote a book.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna have her on.
Yeah,
So
I know.
that's gonna be cool.
That would be awesome.
That's gonna be cool, and we're gonna make Chad cry, and be authentic.
and supportive.
Chad wakes up and looks in the mirror and cries every day.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's coming along. I've gotten it all done, but I've just been going through and proofing and editing it, and making sure that it makes sense. Because what
Right.
makes sense to me in the moment,
Yeah, you'd read back
400
and you're
pages
like,
later.
you're like, what was I talking about?
Yeah.
Where was I going with
yeah.
that?
So I really just need to I've already gotten the cover and all those things together. At this point, I just need to finish my editing. But because I'm doing it all on my own.
Yeah, that whole editing, proofreading, that's a lot of fucking money.
Dude, that's why you have that's why you have AI do it.
But then, see, that honestly scares me, the AI thing, when you're like an actual creative, because then they can, like, not even they, right? The AI, just, it kind of, this is something that's coming from me and my heart and my soul and my being, right? But now, does anybody who's on the outside know if it's AI or me?
Right.
Well, so the thing with AI that people don't really understand is it takes human input to get better. So if there ever becomes a point where it's like, because there's a lot of stuff that it does that's really good, but there's still humans clicking buttons to like say yes, no. You have to train it to be able to get good. And there's like, you can just tell when something it's too perfect. There is like no room for flaw. Yeah. And then that's like, that's where it gets whenever it's been trained. The
human element
but there's always a human element that's going to be missing in any sort of creative aspect.
Right.
So anyway, why don't we go ahead and tell the people a little bit of your backstory? I know, we've had you on and you can go back and dive deeper into that, but we're going to also get into the whole self-harm thing today. And we're going to talk about that because that's part of your story and we never really
it still is, honestly,
that we dove into that. But let's get a little bit of the backstory, like the truncated version.
The snapshot. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm a recovering addict and that's just something that I function and deal with daily. But I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So that's just a shit show all the time. I feel like I'm constantly talking myself off the ledge and just, and not, I don't want to say shit show in such a negative way, but there's a lot of triggers for me. And so I have to be very mindful and aware of how I'm receiving that because sometimes I am triggered by something that it's not the other person's intention, right? So I have to process that. And that can be very difficult with having the trauma and then my, therapeutic mind that I've like worked through a lot of stuff and just fighting that battle and coming to a resolve of like, okay, what is this exactly and what's going on? And then the other thing is like your instinct, right? And like my intuition. And it's like, I know something's not right.
I know he's cheating on me. I know he's cheating on me.
Something doesn't feel right. And then rather than like, I just don't want to be like busting out people's windows and cars anymore. And I want to like have a healthy relationship. And so what's going on? What's happening? And just having these conversations. But it's hard because then there's people that'll manipulate and lie to you, So it's like, who do you trust and who do you believe? And then when you have especially complex post-traumatic stress disorder, do I even believe myself?
Why do you think you have that? What do you
I know
think?
I have it.
Well, okay, so why do you? But no, why do you think you have that? Yeah.
So I grew up in an environment that was not emotionally and physically healthy, and so
parents or what?
Parents, and other family members,
and other people,
and then other people thereafter, through marriages and relationships. But complex post-traumatic stress disorder is when you're constantly daily going through manipulation and either physical or verbal, emotional, abuse. And so you learn to kind of crawl inside of yourself unknowingly. And it's just literally like how to keep yourself safe.
It sounds like you're like constantly already like second guessing everything that's going on around you.
100%.
Basically.
Yeah. Because even the abusers will never like fess up to like what they've done. It's too hard for them to admit to what they've done, but not hard for them to do what they've done.
Right. And you're talking like as far as abuse, like sexual abuse, like
physical abuse. I wasn't sexually abused that I know of. That's something I'm working through in therapy right now. But when I was a child, but I've been gang raped. I've been raped. My ex-boyfriend broke into my house and raped me, and so, coming with or growing up in those types of environments, it's really hard to like figure out relationships that make sense because it's like, okay, well, this seems normal, or it was better than what I grew up in, or, I think this person's being honest with me. And I honestly don't want to be a Google detective all the time. I don't want to read somebody's phone or emails and
it's a lot of work.
Just be yourself, man. I mean, like I don't get why people can't do that, but like for me it is just so triggering because you're leading me on while I'm trying to heal and like undo the damage in my brain already, and you're just like throwing more shit on it.
Right. Now, do you think that might have anything to do with choices that you're making? Like subconsciously?
Subconsciously, yes. Yeah. So like recently.
You kind of almost thrive on or look for the shit show because you're so used to it.
I don't know. Cause like there was people that I don't know that it's, I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I'm not at that place.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, let's
like
take some
drama.
Let's take some ketamine. And
Dude,
talk
I was
about
to do the microdosing,
Right.
and then I started EMDR a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
we'll have to talk about that. Is that cool?
It's like fucking surgery every Sunday because I go every Sunday.
Okay.
So I like brain surgery.
Well,
and
so what
I'm
do they do?
Terrified.
What are they doing? Like, are you hooked up to? Like, tell us
No.
about it.
So we started off with like you got to answer a bunch of questions just to see where your disassociation is at, like
Okay.
your state of it. And for me, I used to get really disassociated when I would get triggered because I would just like super involved, like
Right.
into myself,
Right.
and that's really where my addiction would like
Take
keep
over.
me alive
Yeah.
in a sense because it made me like numb enough so I didn't have to think or feel those things, but I could like exist. But so those questions have been rough for me. I mean, like I'm like full blown panic attack even before I get in the room because I just
Right.
don't know what's going to happen.
Sure.
And my therapist and I process like that part, like just in the beginning of like, it's really because I have no control. Like usually I go
Right.
into therapy and I know, okay, I'm going to talk about this week, how I'm processing
I think that's
it.
important what you said because everybody, all of us,
Yeah.
is what we're trying to do is we try to control our own narrative.
Yes.
And try to control everything around us and just realize there are things that you can do to control your narrative, but
I was trying so hard, dude, to
Not
not
What?
laugh at the way that you said narrative.
narrative.
But then you said it again. dude.
Narrative. Is that, am I saying wrong?
We're just trying.
Narrative.
Write your
we're
own
just trying
story.
so hard to control our own
Anyway,
narrative.
we'll edit that out.
Yeah.
No, he won't.
Anyway, but so you're trying to control your own narrative.
See, dude?
You're trying.
That's how you said it, dude.
But that's that's what people are trying to do.
Yes.
Is to control that and just not just letting it be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I was controlled the majority of my life. Like I'm 43. And so growing up.
Oh, hold on.
controlled-
That's when we're supposed to go. Oh, you don't look. You
Thank
look
you.
great.
Do I look fat? But I like that. You're right about that. But I think you need to have a level of self-control in order to control your narrative, right? I think there's like healthy ways of controlling your life, but then there's got to be places where like you're connecting with other people at like an honest level.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For
and
sure.
so like I've really been trying to come out of that box because for me, the control was other people controlling me, how I should be, what I should look like, what I should say, what I should do. And even when I did do those
That
things,
sounds
I
like-
still wasn't good enough.
No,
and I
but
would
that
still
sounds
get
like a
abused.
lot to. That sounds like a lot to live up to.
It is a lot
Yeah,
to live,
yeah.
especially as a child, and you don't know who you are,
Right.
And you're learning and you're growing, and you're experiencing life, and so that's still something that I have to like deal with. I mean, like PTSD is, I wouldn't say easier, but at least you have one experience. And so like with EMDR, like if I have one experience, then I can go and I can process through that. But like my therapist says it's a cluster. So I've got clusters of things that have happened to me or I've experienced. And so we've got to go through those. Like, I mean,
It's like you're carrying around a backpack filled
Yes.
with tiny
And
little,
it's like you try to
tiny
get
little
rid of
rocks,
it.
and you're just dropping one here and there like
Yeah.
little breadcrumbs.
right.
I like to think that my narrative I would be carrying around some. I would like to pick up all the turtles that's on the road, and I'd like to be carrying a backpack full of little turtles,
I
like little
would.
baby turtles,
That'd
and
be
I'd like
Oh
to
my
be
God.
using that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's just hard shit. I mean, it's like people are like mind over matter. It's like, yeah, but my mind is fucked. I mean, like complex post-traumatic stress disorder literally gives you like, brain damage in a sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So have you found, like, how many times have you had the
I'm going to be going on my third.
Okay.
So we started right now working through different things that are going to help me to regulate. So
Okay.
that's what we did the last. I still had to finish up some questions yesterday and then did that. But I mean, like therapy days for me typically are overwhelming, but then like these have been just.
So what do they do? Do they hook up a bunch of stuff to you, or
No.
how
She
does
just
it go?
told you no.
No, but so you do different things, like there's different vibrations, things that you can hold on to. And so it's basically keeping you in your body, like
Okay.
keeping you grounded while you're actually processing.
And they send
the
a
things.
light shock.
Yeah, kind of. Well,
Right.
it's not like a shock, but it's like
Right.
there's these two vibration things, and it like one
That-
goes zut, 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 zut.
Yeah.
That
So,
sounds like the cans in Scientology. You know what I'm talking
No,
about?
I don't.
Oh, where you're true testing your thetan levels.
Yeah,
Really?
the truthometer.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
no, they have
man.
these things that the cans that you hold.
Yeah.
And they're like, they're over there.
can't.
Somebody's asking you all these personal questions.
Oh,
and
my God.
like,
Yeah, it-
interrogating you.
It's like
Oh,
torture.
is that right?
Right.
Huh.
I think it's better. It's on the kinder side of
Okay,
like
right.
processing through like your emotions and your feelings, but
Mm-hmm.
not processing them in because I get flashbacks a lot, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
like I'll get a flashback and then I'm like I'm like teleported there. I don't have a fucking choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I go there. And now I've learned to manage my triggers, manage when I'm disassociated, not just
How are
blurt
you?
out on other
Like,
people.
just to, like for other people, how do you manage your triggers?
I've got multiple ways. Like one of my
Okay.
favorite ways right now is I do meditations.
Mm-hmm.
So like I do guided ones instead of my self-guided ones because I need somebody else to talk to me rather than me talking to myself. And then I have a heated pad that's like weighted, and so I put that on my chest, and then I turn the heat up, and so that for me it makes me feel safe and warm.
Right.
And so like when I'm overstimulated, I'm triggered. I'm constantly trying to talk myself down. So I'm not gonna kill myself. So I'm not gonna relapse. I'm not gonna.
Do you have a constant?
harm?
Do you have a constant fear of relapsing? I mean, is it always like that close?
I feel like I'm one trauma away from falling.
Yeah.
And just because I've been so traumatized in my
Mm-hmm.
life that I legit just don't have I don't
have
I
coping
don't
skills
have, I have coping skills, but
yeah.
it's just when I get pulled into these triggers and these
Situations, yeah.
flashbacks, it's so heavy.
Uh-huh.
There's so much. And as a person, like you can only handle so much in your brain. And for me, the trauma already is so much. I'm already like constantly running from it and regulating from it every single day that if I'm in stressful situations, it's even, okay, that's a harder day for me to like regulate myself and stay focused and stay
Right.
grounded. But if somebody raped me again,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I mean, I would literally, like I already had to process through the fact of feeling like I'm just here for the world to use.
So that being said, like, do you still live in that fear of oh my God, this could happen, I need to like
yeah.
and alter your lifestyle to that? Like, I mean, are you
every
in
single
a constant
morning.
state of kind of fear? Like,
Yeah, like the rapes really fucked me up.
Yeah.
I mean, like that, every single morning, every time I leave my house, I'm constantly
you got the mace
aware.
ready?
Yeah.
And,
I have a bat. Yeah.
The bat. Well,
I've got my bat.
Hey, you're from Chicago. so,
Yeah. I try not to make eye contact too much, be
Mm-hmm.
too friendly, because like that's another part of it is like when these things happen to me, I never had justice. I was blamed for it.
Oh,
Or,
yeah.
so it's like, what am I wearing? What am I doing? What am I saying? Like that's a constant thing in my head.
Right.
And that's not even just, already having complex post-traumatic stress disorder and then being raped and then abused by people, it's just constant like manipulation and brainwashing, And so if you just think about it as like that shit's just like constantly burying me while I'm alive, and I keep trying to
Yeah.
crawl back up out of it, and then it's like just keep pushing me down. So that's why I say like I feel like I am one trauma away.
Well,
from
all this stuff,
being buried alive.
I can only imagine how tough
Yeah.
it would be to just, people would say, "Oh, move on, let it go." That's not so easy.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. Especially when you've been manipulated for a huge chunk of your life,
Right.
Because it's just like trying to understand, like, well, why would that person do that, or like why if I was being honest with them, were they not honest with me, or why can't they just let me be myself? Something must be wrong with me, and just like really having to, and that's what I talk about, like with my writing. It's like untangling
Right.
the
Well,
brain
it's
and the
therapeutic
trauma
for you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And so some of the stuff I may write is just like, duh, but like for me, it wasn't, I
Right.
just really got to a place where it's like, it's okay if somebody doesn't like your boundaries. Like, okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, not everything you're going to write, everybody's going to like.
No.
So, and it's just like with music, there's,
Yes.
there's stuff that people.
I may not be your cup of tea.
Yeah, no, but like Chad and
What
I.
did
and
that
our-
one guy just say about the Travis Scott remix?
Oh yeah, I've already forgot. I already forgot it. And that's
Oh
no. So we have this thing like where I send out promos, right?
Yeah.
And it's for free,
Yeah.
right? So you're getting this download for free,
Right.
and you can usually it's like you rate it and then download it,
Yeah.
So this guy didn't even download it, but took the time out
To rate it?
No, just to shit on us and just go, oh, I'm going to give it 2 stars. And he goes, I've already forgotten about it, so that's not a good thing.
It was so fucking funny, dude.
I know, but I just loved it because I'm like, dude, that guy just took time out of his day to shit on us
Right.
on purpose. And,
Yes.
and I love it.
Yeah. Well, it's like people like that though are like their own. They're so fucked up themselves.
Well-
I just don't want to be like them just because
Yeah.
I'm traumatized, you know,
Yeah.
because I could easily be like, well, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And just
yeah.
be a,
I
nut job.
celebrate it when I get shit on.
do you? I'm like, nice to see your true colors. Nice to see who you are.
No, it's just hilarious to me that guy has nothing
Time
better
for
to
that.
do.
Yeah.
But he's going to make it a point to just
Yeah.
because you have to click and then physically type
Right.
your comment, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Not only that, but you have to listen to it.
oh
too.
yeah.
So that
Haterade.
means that we took up at least like 4.5 minutes
Yes.
of his day that day.
Yeah, and you're in his head now.
Yeah.
I bet you that song's like playing over and over again.
He's
in
like,
his chat.
fuck, I forgot about it,
Dude,
but it's good.
I love this song
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
man. I should have given it 3 stars.
Well, I guess I haven't completely forgot about it.
But yeah, it's funny. I mean, in the business of writing and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, you have to have a tough skin because like not everybody's going to want to hear what you say, and
Yeah.
some people will go out of their way to shit on you
Yeah.
just for no reason
Yeah.
because they're dealing with some stuff,
Right.
And they just want to make sure that everybody else is on their same shitty level.
Yes.
You know?
What was it? Like Misery Loves Company?
Yeah.
You know, and definitely there's a lot of people there. I mean, it's just, what do you know, just be miserable together and just
Right.
like talk shit together, you know,
Right.
but there's not a lot of people who like want true connection or like honesty or, you know, they're just living, like a lot of people are just living lies, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I just don't want to do that. I don't want to live the lie that other people told me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to like sugarcoat, you know, like my life,
Yeah,
like the
to
shit that
who you
happened to
are,
me.
and you're authentic and upfront with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
also like a certain power that comes back to you when you start taking control of your story and letting
For
it
sure.
out. Because for so long it has power over you
Yeah.
until you start like shedding light on it and healing from it, and
Right.
then the more you talk about it, the more you do. Dude, stop stop pushing shit
I
around.
like to move stuff
Just
randomly.
shitting on me, dude.
Poltergeist.
You're that guy that commented, dude. But yeah, once you fuck, now I just lost every fucking train of thought because you moved my cup, dude.
The power
I
in
love it.
taking-
Just simple little.
it's the ADHD.
Right.
A squirrel?
But yeah, you
It's
get
the power.
Yeah, you get power back when you start healing and then start talking about it because,
Yeah.
and there's something really therapeutic about sharing it with other people because it might help somebody.
Yeah.
Or you know when somebody comes up to you and they're like, "Holy shit, I had no idea. That's
Yeah.
like amazing," and then,
Yeah.
or somebody reaches out to you after the fact.
For sure.
You know,
Right.
because that happens.
you're
I'm
not
sure
wearing
a lot.
you're not wearing
Yeah.
a shirt that says I'm a rape victim.
I
You
know.
like
Yeah.
people, yeah.
Right. And
Not
I mean, then
everybody
there's
knows
so
that.
much, like, I need to speak for myself, but there's so many other people who are not at a place, like, their voice
Well,
has been taken.
I mean, look,
you know?
a lot of people are ashamed and embarrassed
Hell
that something
yeah.
like that happened,
Right.
and they bring that. Oh, that was my fault. You know,
Yes.
that kind of thing, and
Yeah.
that's not the truth.
Yeah, and I struggled with that for some time, but I got to there's just something always that's inside of me, even since I was a child, that was like, you are not a piece of shit. You are not garbage. You're telling the truth. Like there's just, I mean, like whether it be like a tiny voice or sometimes when I'm not overstimulated and triggered, I can hear it better and I feel more of myself and in my body. But yeah, I mean, like there's so many people that don't have their voice because of society, honestly. You know,
Yeah.
there's not accountability or justice when it comes to abuse, whether it be psychological, physical, or being raped, sexually assaulted, things like that, you know? And so there's just, I feel like I'm not only speaking up for myself, but I'm saying the things that my peers are not able to say at the moment. But then
Right.
it also gives you the courage to be able to like, to feel your own emotions because, oh shit, you know, like you're right. Yes, I do feel like that. I do feel like that. And, you know, like Chad was saying, like the connection part, it's like, I need connection. I want deep, actual, honest connection. And then if that's how if I'm going to communicate with somebody like that, that's just how I am. But I'm also going to learn from somebody else if that's how they are. And not to be like psychoanalytical of them, but I'm going to know then, like, how are you going to use my past against me, you know, which that's
Oh, yeah.
happened, you know,
Right.
but I'll always kind of like dial it back, but then I'll realize like, well, it's my fucking past.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
so you can use it against me if you want to, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to shut up. It's, I mean, it's like all my life, all I've been told by my abusers, by anybody who's done something to me is
don't
just
talk
shut
about
up.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just
sweep
gonna
it
be
under the
fucking
rug.
opposite.
It didn't happen.
Exactly.
It's going to go away.
Right. It wasn't that bad. You're just
Yeah.
overreacting.
Right.
Like,
Right.
no.
Wow. Well, and then we're going to get into, because I wanted to talk about this. I always find this fascinating,
Yeah.
and we never really talked about the whole self-harm thing, but I want to do that after we get back from commercial,
Okay.
which we are going to throw to our sponsor, lovely Max the Axe. Max the Axe. If you go to thispinklawyer.com, there we go. It will take you to Lone Star Injury Attorneys. And as I move Chad's cup here a little bit. But if you go to thispinklawyer.com, it will take you to his website. Be sure and send him an email. And he will, get back to you regarding your personal injury needs. He practices in Texas and in California. So hit him up. Max the Axe at thispinklawyer.com. And then we also have some songs, don't we, Chad? We got some new stuff that we just put out, or actually just coming out on December 1st. Are we? Which one are you playing first, buddy?
I'm gonna play the scary one. I want the monsters to come out.
Okay.
The only thing tonight that we have is us. We're just gonna let this one ride. We're just gonna let this one ride.
Bangers in the system, it's bangers in the system, it's ancient and anarchy. Bangers in the system, it's like bangers in the system, it's like in my white tee. Bangers in the system, it's like bangers in the system, it's like in my white tee. Bangers in the system, it's like bangers in the white tee. Bang, 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 bang. Bangers in the system, it's like.
All right. Good stuff, huh?
I think it's pretty cool.
I think it's pretty cool,
I think
too.
it's pretty cool.
It's bumping.
But, yeah, if y'all
It's
go
fucking bumping. Those guys, those fucking trucks are fucking bumping.
those tracks make me feel not fat.
That's right.
But if you go to Spotify, Apple Music, look up Kelly Reverb, Chad Lamons, all our stuff streaming on there. If you're looking for the downloads and the remixes, go to my SoundCloud, and that is SoundCloud.com.
And they're free. They're free.
SoundCloud.com and Kelly Reverb, and they will be on the SoundCloud, and you can download for free.
Yeah, man.
100%.
100% for free.
Well, anyway, so yeah, I have like kind of like, I guess you could say, some skin in this game, because I have a family member, a niece, that is also into self-harm. So
Yeah.
I've always kind of, a lot of people are like, WTF.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people don't understand it.
Yeah.
But this is a real coping mechanism that you use to stay in control or stay in your
Well,
head.
I think when it
So,
begins, I
yeah.
don't know that you have like any concept of like
Let's
the connection
give
of
us,
what's going on.
Give us a scenario of what would set that off, and then how it progresses.
Well, for me, it was, just a daily fight and struggle to be myself.
And then, now, when
I
did
didn't
this
know
start?
This.
When
When
did
I
this
was in high school.
High school?
mainly. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I had like one of three things that I would do. I would either cut myself, burn myself, or I would sew into myself.
Wow. Okay.
So those are my like three things. I always did them either on the inner part of my ankle, but it was never like that anybody could see it. I've just not been one that like I need sympathy or that I want anybody to know really what's going on with
Right.
me. And I think that really kind of also comes from the trauma, is just like, because you got to look and be like that constant shoving into a box. And I just didn't want anybody to know like
Yeah.
what was happening, or what I was dealing with. But every single time that I would injure myself, like, and I wasn't even thinking I was injuring myself. Like it's very like diluted when I look back at it. Like, how did I not know I was hurting myself? Right. How, like, I just did not have the connectors, and neither do any of these teenagers, you know, and that's usually when it starts. I have not known of any adult who just started self-harming. You know what I mean? It's usually when you're like incredible, you know, like you're young and your brain hasn't completely formed.
Right.
But there's always an association with some type of trauma, or there's something going on with them internally or physically. It's always like connected to a mental thing, because every single time I would do it, it was a release. It was just a way of like, if I could explain it as being like a grounding technique, because that's what it felt like. It was like coming back to myself.
Yeah,
right.
Because
Instead of meditating, you would like self-harm. Yeah.
And I didn't know anything better, you know, and I don't know if it's because, you know, like, oh, I hurt myself. And like, if you think about like, oh, when I've hurt myself, you almost have this like, you know, kind of a feeling.
Well, and it makes you quit thinking.
And it also brings you immediately back to the present.
Yeah. So when I said like I still struggle with it, I don't still struggle with the fact of like cutting and doing those things now. But I, you know, like I love piercings, I love tattoos, you know, like things like that for me.
Like a more socially acceptable self-mutilation.
My therapist says it's healthy coping, you know. And I get to choose what I'm doing. I always think about it for a long time before I end up doing it. But I always have like something on my back burner, so like when I'm ready, or when I need to, I should say, I'll go and do it. Like I even got a piercing. I got my tragus done, and I was like,
I don't know what that is.
That's a little weird thing.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah, like we were talking about.
I know how it sounds.
I know how it sounds. I was like, it would unzip.
I literally had this conversation with somebody the other day. I was like, that doesn't sound like that body part.
Yeah, but I was having a session talking about doing the EMDR, and she's like, you know, I really think that we're gonna end up finding out some stuff about your past that you've blocked. You know, she's like, because there's just so much evidence, and I do have like little flat, you know, like things or whatever. But after that session, I was fucked up. I mean, like really fucked up mentally.
Well, let's say like, okay, so like you're, you know, maybe like a current experience, if you're having like you know, issues in a relationship, do you still have that part of your brain that goes, hey, it'd be a good idea to cut myself, or no?
It's
has that like, I mean, okay, so like where was it bad, and then when did you realize it was a problem, and then how did you get to where you don't do that anymore? Basically?
I've been in therapy for a very long time, and so for me, I can't say like it was a part, like with my addiction. It's different than my addiction. I just know it wasn't like, oh, I want to cut myself. It's not the same type of feeling where I'm choosing not to. It was like I just didn't need to anymore. And then I kind of got to a place where, okay, well, I'm going to get you know, like it, and I didn't even really consciously know that I was trading one for the other. A couple years ago, I went to the ER, and the doctor walked in and he's like, you have a lot of trauma, don't you? And I was like, why? He goes, because you have a shit ton of piercings on your head. And I was like, oh. And then I'm starting to connect some of these things, like, okay, this is why I do these things. But I never had a stopping point with my self-harm. It was, and I think that we all self-harm in different ways, right? Like my addiction, that took over more so than my self-harming. I found more release and peace in getting wasted.
Yeah,
and
well, so I mean, let's be honest.
Traded off one for another, really.
Let's be honest. Like, you know, abusing substance is a form of self-harm, really. You know, even though it's kind of fun sometimes.
But I got addicted to cutting off my right leg, but I only have one. So like, it was really short.
That party was over real quick.
Too much.
But so like, but like when you like if you were to meet like a younger girl that was doing that, how would you? What advice would you give?
I think like that I wouldn't give advice, and the reason why I'm going to say that, and the same thing like with somebody with addiction or anything like that, for me to notice, or they're going to tell me that they're struggling with that, the first thing I'm going to say is the insight that I have. You're fucking struggling with something mentally, right? And so there's no way you can stop your addiction or all of those things without dealing with why. You have to deal with the root. So. If that the root. I know I don't say it right.
No, that's okay.
The root.
No, the rut is that's Chicago.
It is Chicago.
Rut is like when you hit something in your car.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like a pothole.
I learned nothing.
It's like a rut in the road.
I think Chad just made that up.
No, I did not, dude.
So I don't think I'd have advice. I would honestly just be more willing to embrace her or him and just be like, so what's really going on? Like, what is going on with like internally or your identity?
I was gonna say from
like
a parental aspect, like, you know, if they know that somebody is self-harming.
Oh man, like let's say if I found my son doing it.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's hard when we're parents because we're so close and we think that we know everything about the kid and like your life can't be that bad and you're
right.
No, but it's just like any other human being. You don't know what's really going on in that mind. And especially if there's things that have happened to them, like say if there's been a sexual assault that was at school or with a babysitter or something that you like that parent wasn't like privy to, that child could be internalizing a lot of that shit. And there's kids who were molested even like when they were like 2 or 3, right? They may not necessarily remember the actual event, but that body has already now started with some trauma shit going on in the brain, right? And that's going to affect them. So it's not like you can go through trauma as an infant either, and then it's just like, oh, well, you were an infant and like you don't remember, so like you should be fine. Like no, the body and the brain are affected still.
Right.
So it's hard when you're a parent because you're just like, I don't get it, but I love you, but I'm doing all of these things for you. Granted, now all the kids who are cutting, that's not really the situation, you know? And so a lot of times people look from the outside and be like, oh, you've got like a great life and you've got great parents and you've got a house and you've got clothes. What could be your problem, you know? But it even could be like a self-identity thing where maybe they're struggling with, am I bisexual, you know, or people are bullying me at school, you know, and things like that. It's just, the parents aren't there for that. And if I can only have so much of a deep relationship with my child, right? And he's going to only open up to me when he feels ready to, regardless of how good of a parent I am.
Which is pretty much never.
Right.
Yeah, as a kid. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I was just like, okay, hey, Mom.
Right.
You know?
And not all of the time it's because you don't have a good relationship with them.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just
like,
you're working it out, right? But you're not going to go to your parent, too, and be like, I'm cutting myself when you know they're going to be... Like, and nobody ever goes and is like, hey, I'm an alcoholic. Can you please help me? Right? Like, we don't even do that as adults. So expecting a child to be like, I'm struggling and suffering with like X, Y, and Z, and this is happening. Like, you almost have to like really be mindful and pay attention to the signs, the things that are happening. You just like with bulimia, you know, all of these kind of disorders that we use to cope with our mental health. You know, it's like we don't know what's going on with our mental health. Right. Especially as a teen. I mean, like, how many adults really know what's going on with their mental health?
Right.
Kelly has no idea what's going on with his.
What? Huh?
What's happening?
What?
Where are we?
Hey, wake me up, man.
Hey, man, this isn't my house.
So I know, but I do have something to ask you.
Yeah.
So you were talking about sewing. Did you ever like put a button on yourself?
No, I should have done that. So I would take a needle and thread.
Okay.
And there's like...
Let's hear it.
Weird, but there's like this first layer of your skin
that
you can like get under without
so now
bleeding.
I think every kid did that back in the day, like where you could stick
like
a pin,
full on words into my skin. I mean, like I would make objects. I mean, it was almost like
body art.
Are you a big 9 Inch Nails fan?
Yeah, I was.
Hell
Nirvana was like, I love Kurt Cobain back in the day, but you know he's not like that anymore. So but yeah,
is he?
Right.
Is he?
Is he alive?
But like the sewing part didn't hurt as much as say the cutting or the burning.
Well,
did,
I was going to say, what would you do? Like just burn? Like would you just put your hand like in lighter or?
No, I would burn a needle.
Okay.
And then I would like brand myself basically. And so it would just be a constant, you know, moving of it or, you know, okay, I'm going to, it was kind of in the way of like getting a tattoo, you know, because I wouldn't do it just like straight marks. I would make something of it. With the cutting, that's a different thing. Like that was like,
I'm making art.
I was like, I'm gonna make art and like just hurt
but
myself.
But honestly, I could see how that would take you out of your own mind and be in the present. I mean, because if you're like, oh, all of a sudden, and this hurts a little bit, you know,
well,
you're gonna go, and focus on that instead of like.
It's also really cool too because the way, it's not really cool. Hurting yourself, burning yourself, that's stupid.
Yeah.
But you can see like pathways that you were originally taking that were getting you out of your head, like creativity.
Yes.
You know what I mean? In that. And sorry to be the silver linings in the cloud guy.
No, you're right.
But and then now you do creative things and do creative work. So
and
logically it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I didn't know at the time I was doing this for the release necessary. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go cut because everybody online is doing it and they said they get like this form of release. I mean, granted I'm elderly, right? So like
I wouldn't
have online
I
at
don't
that
think
I
time.
wouldn't go there. but-
Kelly is.
Okay.
Yeah, I am, but not yet.
I'm middle-aged.
Right.
So I didn't know this, and I really don't know now even why I necessarily started, or you know, like, oh, okay, like this is going to be my thing. But there was just it was just so much, and I was undiagnosed
but it's
ADD,
kind of
ADHD too.
it's kind of like crazy that it's been like, you know, it's a lot of people's thing that, you know, and you don't. It's one of those things that it's like, did they just invent that like in the last couple of years?
Yeah.
And I think they really just started talking about
Yes.
it, you know, and being open about it, and it's like a real thing. you
Yeah,
know?
it is. There's a song by Plum called "Cut," and that's an old song. So you know, I mean, it's been around.
It's been going on
forever.
for.
It's been,
Yeah.
it's been around since the 90s.
It's been around forever.
Yeah.
But imagine yourself like a balloon, right? I can only take so much, especially as a teenager, and I'm just like,
Right.
you know, but there's like nowhere, like you can't crawl out of your skin. Like there's nothing I can fucking do, right? But it's like I need to release, like what, like popping a balloon, you know, but not to the point where I'm gonna explode, pop. But like I need to let some of that out. And so between the abuse and then, you know, like now I got diagnosed with ADD and ADHD, and so that was like getting on meds is super helpful for me.
Okay.
But that was another part of it. I was super overstimulated at school. Nobody gave a shit about me. I was getting in trouble all the time.
Well, now hold on. No one gave a shit about you, or is that what you thought?
I would honestly, like, my grandmother, like, and even though I didn't see her like all the time, she wasn't like a daily thing in my life, but I genuinely looked forward to seeing her because she always just loved me for me. Like, she was excited to see me, hug me. It didn't matter like what clothes I was wearing, how my hair looked, you know, what I said, you know, things like that. So I wouldn't say she didn't give a shit about me, but on a daily basis, you know, and that's something kids need, is somebody who gives a shit about them on a daily basis.
Right.
And so I did not have that.
Well, but it's also, you know, as a kid, you're also running away from your parents too at the same time. So it's kind of tough it's a tough road to navigate. I would imagine,
Especially as a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like as a, and I'm talking more like first, second grade, things like that.
Well,
You
so
know, that's
you were
when I was
saying
already
you were
experiencing
saying
a lot
in
of that.
high school.
That's
and
when I
then,
started cutting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when did you stop, or when did you
I
alter
really went
that
more to
trajectory?
Alcohol.
Yeah.
Alcohol was really.
But like what age? Like how long of a window was that?
Maybe I started cutting when I was like 13, 14 years old, and I started drinking around the same time. So I did not last very long with my cutting. It was probably till like around the end of high school.
Okay.
So maybe 3 years. But then after that, then it was more of the alcohol. I liked the alcohol more. I liked the fact that I could like drink and it lasted longer. So
Yeah.
like the cutting for me only
And
lasted
then
for a moment.
And I remember there were nachos at the end of that
Yes,
rainbow, right?
yes. When I was in my 20s.
At the end of that
I've been an alcoholic for a long time.
at the end of that beer rainbow,
Yes.
Soraya always had nachos.
Salsa and chips.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
salsa and chips,
There you
man.
go.
Salsa and chips. Yeah. So I think everybody will end up coming out of there cutting at
Yeah.
some place or at some point, because it's not like you want to kill yourself. I mean, I have attempted
Right.
suicide a couple of different times.
Okay.
I've struggled with suicidal thoughts and
Suicidal ideology.
Ideology,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Is it ideology or ideations?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's ideations because Kelly
Is
says
it?
ideology every time, and I want to correct him. So let me Google that.
Maybe
real
it's
quick.
Oh,
maybe it's
Lord.
both.
It
Yeah.
just sucks. It's like it sucks. It
Yeah.
sucks to struggle with those suicidal thoughts, and then to also be in recovery and not having anything. I mean, I don't cope with anything else, you know. And I'm very mindful now about. I don't want to get like too hyped up in the gym because
Right.
I will get addicted to that, and then
Oh,
now
yeah.
I'm gonna like I need to have balance. So I'm like, even that is really a struggle for me, is to have the balance and to like keep the balance, because my body and especially my ADHD is just like, fuck it, let's go
Right.
do whatever. But I
Right.
need that structure, and I know I need to stay. Even if I don't feel like doing my meditation, I know I need to do it at night. And so that when I was saying about before, I'm like one trauma away from relapsing, you know, I know that. So I'm constantly preparing
You're
myself.
vigilant.
Exactly.
Right.
Like I need to go to therapy once a week. I need to do my meditations, you know, every morning and night. And if I'm feeling like ratchet during the day, then I need to do it during the day. I mean, like I have to constantly keep doing those things. If I don't, I'm not going to make it.
Right.
I'm just not. And I think that that's a part of, you know, at least for me and anybody with an addiction, but like complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I mean, like I got to do like shit for myself, you know, like daily.
Well, I had a question. So like when you were growing up, what was the home life like? I mean, was the parents like both there and then you didn't really feel like you could go to them, and it was more like, oh, my grandmother just loves me for me. And
yeah, I mean, it's complex, you know, but
I'm opening your file right now.
Yes,
and
open it.
It's
quite thick. I was the scapegoat is basically like the best way you could put it.
Okay.
So it wasn't even the fact that like it would stay just at home, but it was also with like aunts and uncles and then, you know, other grandparents and stuff, you know, like just being called a bitch or a slut. I mean, I hadn't even slept with anybody until my first ex-husband, but it was like just because I wanted to go and say goodbye to my boyfriend who was going on a trip, you know, just constant like things like that, emotionally, physically. I mean, just it was almost a daily basis of having somebody have their hands on me. And for like the most randomest shit. I mean, I was not a bad kid. I was a kid.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was a kid.
Right.
And, you know, so coming to peace in terms with a lot of that stuff, because some people, you know, they'll say, oh, well, you know, I needed that ass whooping. I could genuinely say every single time that I had an ass whooping, which they would get pretty fucking bad, there was nothing that I did that like genuinely warranted that. I mean, like it was just, I'm a child and I'm learning. Now, granted, I've also understood generational curses and trauma, right? And so it's not like everything was fine with them. And then I started this
it was
new line of stuff.
It was like a learned behavior that was passed down, basically. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And they, you know, when we don't learn about our emotions or how to regulate them, then now you're in a situation where you've got kids and you're trying to help them or you need to help them, but you don't even know that you need to help them.
And back in the day, it was like, oh, a psychiatrist. Oh, that person must be crazy.
Yes.
You know, that was the whole stigma even back then. So there was no such thing as necessarily therapy going on back when your parents were. Or my
not
parents.
when that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I have a question.
Yeah.
This might be deep. I don't know.
Go for it.
So what has therapy helped you in breaking out of like that victim mentality and that cycle? Because that is, trust me, from somebody who was in it for a long time and could easily fall back into it at any point in time.
Yeah.
Like it is a constant battle to keep above for a while, and then you kind of start realizing it shapes your perspective. So how has that been for you in therapy and all that stuff, and just through everything you've been doing?
Daily, and like you said, like that, it's so easy to fall back into the victim mentality, and so that's why it's like daily I have to be on my shit. I mean, because I will fall easily back into that, especially because I mean, smells, weather, there's so many things that trigger me and instantly take me to a flashback or take me back to like a bad place, and I have to be on top of it. If I'm not, I'm going to be in a victim mindset. And I'm constantly telling myself like, yeah, this shit sucks. Like, you know, like when I get suicidal, it's because I genuinely feel like I'm just a prey. You know, it's like no matter what I do, no matter how much I heal, no matter any of it, it's like I'm just not good enough to like be alive. Like I feel like a target sometimes, you know, and a lot of the shit that's happened to me, it's like I didn't ask to be raped. I didn't ask to be in abusive relationships. Granted, I can see now where I was with somebody that was manipulating me from the beginning, but I wasn't catching on to it because I had been manipulated from such a young age that it just didn't make sense to me, like what was going on. And all I wanted to do was just like, can we just figure out what the problem is so then we can like grow and heal and like move up from this, you know? But you can't do that with a manipulator. They want to continue to manipulate you because they're getting what they need from you in the headspace that you're in, right? So therapy is like, I've been to like my therapist right now, I've been with her since January, every single Sunday. Therapy. And so it's been a lot more helpful for me than any groups. I'm not going to say that the groups haven't helped me, but there is a lot of victim mindset in there, and I don't want to fall back into it.
Right.
And it's easy when you're around other people who are kind of stuck in that, or that's where they're at on their journey, for then you to
jump in and go,
slowly.
Right,
it's such a slow fade, and it's like I don't want to be in that place where I have to be so fucking conscious all the time, making sure that somebody else's
you just want to like live.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, and I'm already in my head all the time about making sure like I'm not going to screw up or do, you know, this
I think
or this.
One thing that's really because this all goes back into that taking the power back thing, right? One thing that is really cool is once you once you are no longer like bobbing in the water of the victim mentality, right? And you've risen, to a decent level above it. Then when you go back to those kind of groups and that kind of stuff, you immediately become
aware.
Yes, and you can help other people
Yeah.
like see that behavior that they keep exhibiting, and then like, I don't know, maybe inspire them or whatever.
Yeah.
To stop moving my fucking cup.
So anyway, but I wanted to say this, and I want to go public with it. Chad's been grooming me for a long time, so.
God.
Way to go, Kelly. You just showed the whole world your
Just be
ass.
nice. Just be yourself and be nice.
That's all I am, man. Unfortunately, I am just me, 100% of the time.
But the environments that you're in, even if no matter how positive I am, right? And I honestly, like, I just want to, like, rainbows and butterflies, man. Like, that's all I like. Chill the fuck out. Like, just be yourself. Like, love and let love and all. I genuinely, that is who I am. But if I'm going to be surrounded by like negative and toxic people that are not
you can only
self-aware,
do it for so long. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I'll go into groups when I like, okay, I need to feel like relatable at this level that I'm at right now. But then there's other times where it's like, I just can't take it on a daily basis. Like, I just want to be with myself and by myself. I don't want to be affected by certain things. I just have to be very mindful about the environments that I put myself in.
Yeah.
Because I will
and who you
fall.
surround yourself
Right.
with, as well as like, and choices that you make as far as relationships and all that stuff, because it all, affects your psyche, period.
Yeah.
They're
They're
that
just
didn't
moving
work,
shit around
but-
over here.
It works.
But anyway, so other than that, that was some pretty deep stuff. So I appreciate you sharing that and
For
going
sure.
down and having the courage to be
Thank
forthright with that information.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anything.
And by the way, it is ideation, not ideology.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
Suicidal ideations.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
We'll learn something new
okay.
today.
So ideology it is.
Ideology.
Okay, whatever. it is.
Suicidal thoughts.
Right. There
Yeah,
we go.
suicidal thoughts, suicidal
Bad
ideations.
thoughts.
But anything while you're on, like, that you want to plug, because I know that you
I would just
kind of
plug
work
my
with
Instagram at this moment.
and the Phoenix, right?
And the Phoenix, yeah, I work with them as a vendor.
Okay.
But the Phoenix is like, they're everywhere.
Right.
They're all throughout the United States, and there's just sober activities that you can go to and be a part of. And like, that was one of the things I fell in love with about it.
And the only rule is what? 48
hours sobriety. Yeah, you don't even have to go and talk about your sobriety.
Right. And they have all kinds of stuff that they do, physical activities as well as low impact, like
yoga,
gaming and stuff like that.
But there's also
game nights.
on demand on the app, and then there's also scheduled virtual things too. So if you can't leave your home, or you're in rehab, or whatnot, you can just jump in and
so it's cool stuff. It's good stuff, and it's a good resource. But thanks again for coming on.
Yes.
I am excited to have Mr. Mike Land next week. He's going to be good. He's got a great story about some fentanyl awareness, because that's some pretty heavy shit right now. Chadwick, as always,
Shut up.
Pleasure. And
Shut up.
all right, well, now I get to hear about Chad bitch about, oh, my ass hurts.
Yeah, these fucking chairs, dude.
These stools hurt my sacroiliac.
I should have brought the donut.
Yeah, I need a fucking donut.
I'm getting you a hemorrhoid donut, dude. And I'm bringing one
dude,
in.
I need a donut, and I want to invent like or they probably already have it if I'm thinking about it. But it's like a part that sits under the chair and then it folds out. You know what I mean? So it just
they have
creates a
that.
chair back.
It's
They
like
have
a
this.
stadium. Like,
Yes.
you take them to a stadium, dude.
Yes,
Yeah, you
they
just
have
put
those.
them in like
Yes.
on a stool, and when you're sitting on it, then you can. Yeah, I need
Yes,
that.
they have that.
Yeah.
And
Go to Academy.
And my Amazon
Yeah, Academy
Christmas
has it.
Amazon Christmas wish list. I need
There we
I
go.
need
I
some
am
back
going-
stools.
I am going to get a custom one made, and it'll say "bitch boy" on it.
Kelly's caretaker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you need to bring your fucking bell.
That's right.
Show the
dude,
world what's
exactly.
really going on.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Anyway, but thanks
Excuse
for
me,
coming
Chadwick. My diaper is full.
I believe it's soiled.
Come here, cat tiger.
Clean up my eyes.
Oh, I love it.
Don't cut that.
Yeah,
No, he's not cutting any of it.
I'll leave it in. No, for
Okay.
sure.
He won't
for
cut
sure.
any of this shit.
I will play it again, actually. Anyway, but thanks for coming out, y'all, and be sure and subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.